So, you have a dream about writing a novel. Well, hopefully I can help you realise this dream. My name's John Reynolds, and this is one of a short series of videos, or a series of short videos, whichever you like, based on the book that I wrote called Writing Your First Novel, which in turn was based on a book called Uncommon Enemy that was my first novel. Both those books are available as ebooks. Okay, so you may have even started on a novel. You may have a few ideas jotted down, but you're not sure how to start. Well, to me, the best advice if you want to be a writer is to write. Start writing. Maybe you've got an idea for a scene. You don't know whether it'll start at the beginning of the novel or the end of the novel or whatever. Most people think they've got to write the first chapter, the first scene first. Not necessarily. I had an idea for a chapter for my novel, and I wrote it and refined it, and I was quite happy with it. It wound up about a third of the way through the book, but that doesn't matter. The main thing is to get your ideas down, on paper or on your computer. So where do you begin? What do you use for your subject matter? Well, I'd suggest that you write about what you know. By that I mean your own life experiences, your own background, your own town, your own family, your own place of work. There's all sorts of ideas coming out of those sorts of areas. You might say, oh yeah, but my life's pretty mundane. Nothing very much happens. But it does, all the time. Just think about your workplace, the variety of characters, and the problems they have, and the issues they have, and people who are promoted and people who are disappointed in promotion. Or your family. Always plenty of good stuff there, family relationships and old enmities coming out, and so not liking so-and-so for all sorts of reasons, and ex-wives and husbands floating about in the background and so on. Take those ideas and embellish them. Add a few characters, and there you've got the makings of a novel. Another good source are local newspapers, local magazines. There's plenty of stories there. Every day you pick up the newspaper, magazine, listen to the local news, lots of stories that you could use as the basis for a novel. So where do you start? Where do you get their ideas? They're all around you. I like to quote the example of Jane Austen, the famous English writer who was writing in England around about the time of the Napoleonic Wars, early 19th century. Now her books are world famous. She has sold and is still selling millions and millions of books. Probably the most famous one is Pride and Prejudice, although everyone's got their favourites when it comes to Jane Austen. She just drew on the people she knew, their relationships, in her small town, in her rural setting. She hardly went anywhere other than around the area like Dorset and Somerset where she lived. She didn't go anywhere else. Didn't go overseas as far as I know. May have gone to London once or twice, but all her books, her world famous books, was set in her local area. So take, maybe as your model, Jane Austen. Read a couple of her books. Find out what makes them tick. Why are they so famous? It's because of her acute observations of human beings, the people around her. She must have watched them and listened to them and jotted down ideas, maybe at the end of the day, to give her ideas for her book. That's not a bad place to start. Select a genre that appeals to you, whether it's romance, fantasy, war, thriller, whodunit. The chances are that if you like that genre, you'll be able to create a novel in that genre that other people will enjoy. So having decided upon a genre, read some more books in that genre. Make a few notes about the characters, the setting, the style of writing, all those sorts of aspects, even a few tips on a plot that you might be able to adapt. And that will get you started. That'll trigger your brain and away you go. Yes, but people say, I don't have the time. I don't have any time to write a novel. I'd love to write one, but where am I going to find the time? Curiously enough, you have a lot of time. Every day you have spare time. Think about the time you're sitting, maybe waiting for the taxi to turn up, or waiting to meet a friend, or sitting on a bus, or sitting in the dentist waiting room, try and take your mind off that one. If you've got a notebook with you, or your iPhone or some other device, jot down or even record ideas all the time. take advantage of those little bits of spare time that you've got. What that will do is just keep your mind, your subconscious if you like, focused on your novel. And as you continue to jot down ideas, more ideas will come to you. Make sure you jot them down as you go along. Then maybe at the end of the day or at the end of a couple of days, go through the notes you've made, the ideas you've come up with, and see whether you can develop them a bit more. You do have the time. You've got lots of bits of spare time. You need also to set some time aside, maybe an hour or two a day, to start writing, to start really developing your ideas. After I'd written a few chapters of my novel Uncommon Enemy, I still didn't know whether it was any good or not. I thought it was probably okay, but it's very hard to step back and look at your own work and say, well, this is good. This is going to be a bestseller. People are going to buy this. So what I did was I went to some weekend writing courses at Auckland University, just down the road, and I found that very helpful. The tutor there gave us ideas for writing, but we also had to read extracts from our book to other members of the group. The tutor offered comments, and so did the other students, and I offered comments on their books as well. One thing I quickly learnt, you've got to listen and be prepared to accept criticism of your writing. I know it's your writing. I know you may have spent a whole day writing one particular paragraph and you're really proud of it. And then someone says, oh, I don't think that works. What did that person do? Why are they supposed to do that? Now, rather than getting into a defensive mode, you need to listen, accept criticism, and then go away and think about it and decide whether or not that's valid. But I certainly found it very, very useful to sit around with other writers and would-be writers and to develop my ideas. It reinvigorated me. And the other thing I found very useful was that everybody in the group was dealing with the same issues that I was. How do you find time to write when you've got work to go to and family and friends and all those other responsibilities? Everyone had the same problem, but everybody was motivated to write. And so that was very encouraging. So what I would suggest, if you're serious, once you've started your novel, or even when you want to, when you still haven't quite got underway, join a writing course. Either go to it physically, as I did at a university, or go online and enroll in a course and get feedback from the tutor, who presumably knows quite a lot about writing, because that will help you considerably in your writing. So, in some of the other videos, I'll be telling you about characterization, plot development, the opening sentence, and other areas like that. But in the meantime, get motivated, and if you want to be a writer, then you need to start writing. Good luck with your writing.